Hi, this is Evadian X, and welcome back to the Candid Frame YouTube channel. So we're going to go and again take a look at some images here, and we're going to talk about perspective. But before we do that, we've had a lot of new people join the Flickr group, which is awesome. Great. I'm seeing some fantastic images here. But in order to make it a little more manageable, it's really important that people not upload too many images up to the site. Some of you may be eager for me to pick your images for these weekly videos, but it's not going to be quantity that really determines whether or not I choose a particular photograph. I never know what I'm going to talk about from week to week, so it's kind of unpredictable. But you know what increases your chances of me choosing your image is if you're making sure that it's your best image. I don't mind people uploading maybe 5 or 6 images a week, but just make sure that they're really good photographs, or photographs that you feel like you really want to get some feedback on, because hopefully over the coming weeks and months we'll get people dialoguing more and more, and then you'll be able to ask other people who are in the group for their feedback. That's really one of my hopes for it. But for right now, let's just be careful on how many images that you upload there, because it just makes it much more manageable for me when I'm going through the images each week, trying to select the images for each week's video. So with that, I wanted to talk about perspective. And by perspective, I don't mean just tilting the camera up or down. It's the choice to either physically move up or down in order to make your photograph. So many of the photographs we make are at eye level, and we just tilt the camera up or down, left or right, and that's about the extent that we think of actually moving the camera. And sometimes physically moving lower to meet your subject, or to photograph below your subject, or getting a high vantage point is really what's needed in order to make a better photograph. So I chose some images here that sort of kind of illustrate that point. And one of the surprises was how difficult it was to find images in the pool that were shot from those different perspectives. So many of the images that are submitted are at eye level, and that's just because the nature of how we've learned how to use a camera. Here's this picture that Robert Fisher uploaded, which is, I just wanted to show you an example of someone who's taking that different perspective. I mean, this person is getting down on the ground. He's on a tripod, and he's photographing this street musician, but he's not just shooting down on him. He's getting down there to this person's eye level in order to make the photograph. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to changing your perspective. If you just shoot down on the subject, the experience of the photograph is going to be markedly different than if you're shooting it at eye level in this particular case. So here's a shot by Michael Sutton, and I think this is a great way to start this video, because I think it's a great example of getting down, physically changing your perspective. He's pretty much low to the ground when he's photographing this, what I assume is a father and son boogie boarding or surfing at the beach. Literally, Michael's on the ground. You can just see here with the foreground area right there. That lens is literally just a couple of inches from the ground, and it just creates this wonderful perspective. I mean, these two figures here look really, really heroic, and the shot, if it had been done at eye level, would have been a completely different experience, especially with the relationship of the shoreline with the figures there. I really like how this shot is composed, and how that perspective really creates a much different feel with it. And he shot this with an iPhone, which is doubly awesome. I mean, this is a great shot, and I didn't even think about whether or not it was shot with an iPhone or a Nikon or a Canon. I just was impacted by the shot, and it's only now that I'm taking a look at it and realizing that he shot this with an iPhone. And it just goes to show that it really is the camera that you have with you that really makes the bigger difference. I mean, I think it's a lovely, lovely shot. Here's another one by Harvey Fish of a man feeding some pigeons. And here he's really taking some real extreme risk in terms of his composition. Not only is he below the eye level of the subject, but he's in He's even below the knee level of the subject. And it creates this really dramatic, impactful shot. And it's helped not only by the fact that he's low, his camera position is really low, but the fact that he's close. He's low and close. And it creates this level of intimacy, and it really immerses us into the shot. It looks like the back of a scooter with the helmet is in the frame, and then you have the palm trees that sort of towering over them. And he has this great blur that's happening as a result of a relatively slow shutter speed, where you get the motion of the bird's wings in these shots, and it's great. The shot, it may not be technically as sharp as it could be, but for me, it really works because of that immediacy. And again, shooting this at eye level, shooting down, shooting further back, would not have created an image that is impactful as this. How many people have photographed people feeding pigeons, and they're oftentimes right at eye level, shooting down? All you do is sort of document what's happening there. Here, Harvey really sort of conveys the experience of being right in the midst of it. And that's awesome. And that really is a result of just making different choices with the camera. Here's a shot by Roland Ramanan, and used with an Olympus EM5. And this is kind of a street shot. And this is shot from what I assume is like Roland's waist level. Whether he was shooting from the hip or whether he was physically down, I don't know. But that really doesn't make a difference, because it's the fact that this slightly lower position of the camera adds a bunch of gravitas to the shot. I love how, we're looking up to this guy's face, and this guy here in the orange outfit, and how we're really sort of drawn into the shot because of that change in perspective. Would a shot made from eye level been just as good of a shot? Maybe, but there's something about shooting at this level that makes a difference. It's a little more difficult to shoot inconspicuously when you decide to shoot slightly lower. Some people will just simply shoot through the hip and not look through their viewfinder, and just sort of do a Hail Mary and hope that they get everything in the shot. And others of us will, physically get down and put the camera to our eye and just try to be real quick about moving up and then moving down. I practice both techniques, but I usually prefer the latter, because I really want to carefully frame my composition. But sometimes I just don't have the time or the choice, and I just have to sort of grab the shot. Here's a shot by Ken Dries. This is a shot with a Nikon D700 with a 28 millimeter, and 28 millimeter is 28 and 24 millimeters are real difficult lenses to compose with. Why? Because they include so much more in the frame. So many people get a wide angle lens, and all they do is they stand at the same position as they normally would for any other photograph, and they just include more in the frame. And it results in just a lot more clutter, a lot more distractions, not necessarily a more effective shot, just more in the shot than you would have with a 35 millimeter, a 50, or an 85 millimeter. But here, he gets in a little closer. He's not directly in eye level with the main subject here. He's more in eye level with the boy here, slightly elevated, but just a little bit. If he had been standing up, he would have been staring down on all these kids. And there's this immediate impact as a result of having gone in, got down on his knees, or get down on the floor relatively, and created the shot where you are at this person's eye level. And he really carefully composes the frame with all these other figures in here. There are not any real distractions in this shot. You get a sense of place, and you got this great light that's coming in from the right. Not a whole bunch of light to work with, but he really makes it work for himself. And again, it's about just changing the perspective in order to make a better shot. Here's one shot that was shot over, probably from a railing or from a balcony or something, of this guy. It looks like he's eating lunch. So you have the suit, you got the derby, you got the umbrella, the bottle of water, and what looks like a sandwich container. And it looks like he's about to light up a cigarette. And this is a shot that makes the ground serve as the background. Shooting down is an interesting way of making a composition, because it makes all the elements that are in the frame that much more graphic, because it creates lines and shapes in a way that we don't experience when we're on the street and we're shooting someone at eye level. We're still shooting a person on the street doing something, but it's just something about shooting down on them that makes them within the context of the frame basically more graphic. And I think that happens in this shot. It can be really interesting because you can do so much, especially when you have a ground that provides you sort of the perfect backdrop. I think here works really well. The pattern of the ground here, with these sort of lines and repeating patterns that are repeated in the brick wall and then also on the ground. We have these sort of rectangular shapes that are repeated throughout the frame. You have these strong graphic lines, which are also sort of mimicked in his tie, which is really, really kind of neat. Here's a shot by Stephen Urani, shot on film. Looks like T-Max, 28 millimeter. So again, another wide angle lens. And take a look at this. I mean, he's shooting just below this person's eye level. He's using the wide angle lens by moving in very, very close, creating a real immediacy between him and the camera, but still including elements in the background that provide a sense of place. This person he's literally on, the photographer here is like literally on the back of the hood, back of the car, the trunk of the car, just as much as this subject is. And that creates that impact. It's so important to make those different choices, because you look at this photograph and it's a great environmental portrait, and the drama of the shot and the way we're pulled into the shot is largely a result of just those two simple choices: getting down to eye level or below eye level, and then moving in closer. It makes all the difference in the world. And here's the last shot here, which this is a shot that just wouldn't be possible if David Hufford didn't get down on the ground to make this shot. The cool thing about this is the color relationships of the shoes, the socks, the seat and the handlebar, and also these colored bottles here. And all of these colors seem to complement each other. Everything else is sort of white or gray and fairly neutral until you get to the coat and the pants and the socks and these other elements here. And it's just fantastic. And you're in between, you're visually placed between his feet and his knees. And that's what makes this shot work. He must have anticipated this, because this is not something that you can just see in an instant and all of a sudden just make the shot. You have to sort of look at the setting and then maybe just wait for the right subject to come by. And there couldn't have been more of a perfect subject than this. It would be lovely to hear the story about how this picture happened, because I suspect that he had to sort of anticipate that all these things would converge with each other at a particular moment, and had to make the conscious choice to get physically down in order to take advantage of that shot. It's one of the best examples of this whole idea of moving down and just making a different choice, changing your perspective. It's something that I don't do often enough. I often have to just remind myself that there's something else other than just shooting from this eye line all the time, that I have to get up or down in order to make the shot. Sometimes it produces a much better shot than I ever could have imagined. So I really encourage you guys that next time you go shooting, especially if you're shooting this weekend, is to make your shot that you normally would, but then try to make a different choice and see how differently you can compose that scene or that subject to make an exceptional photograph. So I hope you're liking these videos. If you are, please continue to upload pictures to the site. And if you're not a regular listener to the Candid Frame, well, you should be, because you have a great opportunity to listen to conversations with some of the world's best photographers from all over the world, from every genre of photography, from amateurs to professionals. And I'm sure that if you listen to 3 or 4 episodes, you'll be hooked. So that's it for me. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.